Good afternoon, everyone. So, Candy and I, we're going to discuss about the art of staging before you list a house. Candy, we have a few questions that we can go through. So, let's talk about the benefit of staging. People get good ideas about how their furniture can fit into the house. Not necessarily we have to use other furniture from outside. They can still use their own furniture and stage the house. Can you share an advantage?
Yes, the advantage of staging is making the house marketable to the largest portion of the consumer, the buyers, what they are looking for. And as a real estate agent, you guys are the best ones to know what that looks like.
Yes.
Because we see houses every day. That's a definite benefit.
The other part is that, you live in a home and people buy a house. There's a big difference. Your home is not similar to other people's home. You buy a house to make it your own home. So when you list a house, you have to convert the home into a house so that people come and see the house and tomorrow make it their own home. The other advantage, you have any other advantage to share, Candy?
Yes, there's an advantage to your real estate career to also be the one to stage a home, because when you're presenting your photographs and your video and everything, and every home that you're producing is looking amazing, as good as it can.
When it is staged, it's looking prim and proper.
Yeah. So not only are you bringing more value to your clients, you're also bringing more value to your business in the future.
Yeah, and it's quicker and more affordable and more profitable sale. I did some statistics, and it shows that staged homes in our part of the world sell for at least minimum 11% higher than it normally would if it was not staged. And you can picture your lifestyle in the house when it is portrayed as a house and not somebody else's home, because somebody else's style might not fit your style of decorating. So when you have it as a house, it's easy to picture what you could do to make it your own home.
And some examples of that would be to be minimizing family photographs and taking out clutter, making sure the flow works. We talked about that earlier.
Sometimes we even get rid of the rugs on the floor so that we can show how beautiful the floors look. We take out not only the family pictures, but also if you have in your study room some certifications you got from your college, those things are good to take out. Religious photos are a good thing to take out, because you don't know who is coming through the house, and instead of the client looking at the photos to see how many children you have, how big your family is, or you have a dog and a cat, you don't need to show all that to the party. The party's focus should always be the floor plan, how the floor plan fits into your lifestyle, basically.
Yes, and I was in the military and a law enforcement officer as well, so a lot of my clients are in either law enforcement or military, and a lot of those people have guns and pictures of them in uniform, and so we wipe that away just to make sure that we're making it more marketable. Somebody might not like something that they see that's in that person's life. So it really does help just make it more marketable across the board.
Candy, let's talk about some challenges in staging, okay? So there are sometimes, I'm sure you go through this all the time also, that you look into a house and maybe it's a very nice contemporary house, but the furniture that the client has is traditional, and it is just not going with the style of the home. How do you tackle it?
So I typically during a listing appointment, once we get to the point where we know we're going to be working together, I walk through the house and I tell them how lovely their home is, just the same as you. And then I just start speaking to them about the different ways that we could make it more marketable. And a lot of people start getting kind of touchy about that. And you're like, you need to start looking at this as an investment. This is your investment for your next home, so we need to make it as profitable as possible. And my business eye is looking at the house. My realtor eye, that I've seen thousands and thousands of houses, is making suggestions. So when you start looking at your equity as the goal to grow the equity as big as you can, people stop looking at it as personal and start looking at it more as an investment, which is where we need to be as a team to sell this house.
Basically, the way I tackle it at the listing presentation, I tell them that my stager is going to come and talk to them about what are the good and the bad stuff that they need to tackle before they list the house and get ready for the photographers. What I tell them is that this is a team effort, okay? It's not just me selling the house. They are teaming up with me to make sure that the house looks in impeccable condition before we get the photographers in. And the photographers are professional. They come and take photos from even with the outside. If we have a nice yard, we're going to take drone photos from the outside and show the whole community. Recently, I did a video where the community had a pool, and they had walking trail to offer within the community for the homeowners to enjoy. So basically, the drone came in and showed the pool, went to the trail, and then came back to the house up, and slowly as it moved down, I was sitting in front of the porch talking to them. So that is the kind of approach we have. So these are all staged to make the house look at its best. Inside the house, if the furniture is not gelling with the house, we tell them that, people know you're moving. Mm-hmm. So why not put most of the furniture in the garage? Mm-hmm. People will just open the garage to see if there is a garage and how big the garage is. And if there's stuff in the garage, people know you're moving. Mm-hmm. And you've stuffed all your stuff in the garage. And then what we do is we sometimes put furniture from our storage that fits the aspect of the elements of the house. Basically, if it's a contemporary house, we'll use contemporary furniture. If it's traditional, we'll use traditional furniture.
Yes, we do it very similar as you. My price point is typically around $300,000, so we're not in the high dollar ones. So as a value to my clients, I offer my staging services for free, and typically we walk through the house. I say, you're moving in 3 months or more, so if there's anything that you don't want to use in the next 3 months, pack it up, put it in the garage, just like you. And offering this service to people is bringing staging and the value of staging into their lives. So I'll take a referral from you, and I would happily pay you a referral fee. Yeah. So instead of holding on to that money in every other transaction, I'm offering services with my own value, my own hard work, and that allows me to stage all the houses, because some people push back on price, right? And so instead, I'm like, well, no, you don't have to worry about it. Just let me handle it, and we'll make this house look beautiful, move stuff to the garage or to storage. So it's very, very similar.
Candy, when you and I, we were talking earlier, you had mentioned something that you not only do the furniture part, but we do something similar, that when the house is looking dated, we even update the house. I had mentioned this yesterday, but you want to tell the audience what you do for that?
So I either hire, like you, or myself, I have a sprayer and everything like that. Depending on my client's budget, I'll do all the work. I'll bring my people in, we do it, and then I say at the end, when we have the proceeds, that's when we can get paid back. So it also helps more people be able to utilize the updating while we put our own work into it.
So for the contractors who are going to do the work, they want to make sure they get paid. So an idea that we throw out to the contractors is, that let's take the dollar amount that you're going to spend to fix this house, and we're going to put a lien on the property. So when it goes to settlement, always the liens get paid first before the seller gets his proceeds. So that is one way of making sure that the contractor gets paid at settlement first before the seller proceeds come in.
That's extremely smart. I hadn't thought of that before, but it makes sense because it's a protection to your contractor.
It's protecting your contractor who's doing a good job for you and making sure that at settlement he is absolutely going to get paid. And
we've all run into this.
We have all run into this.
We've all run into this.
And this is a challenge we've overcome through making it like putting a lien on the property. So that way the seller also signs an agreement saying that at settlement, I will make sure that the lien is paid. And that agreement is sent to the title company who's going to do the settlement. So when the title officer sees the agreement, they know that the proceeds, this party needs to get paid first before the seller gets his or her money. Candy, let's talk about virtual staging versus actual staging. You do actual staging, so you want to walk us through the process of how actual staging you do. Yes. And then since I do the virtual staging, we'll talk about that.
Yes, absolutely. So like I said, I either do it at the listing appointment or we make a secondary appointment for the consultation for the staging. I walk into the house and I just look at it as if we're walking through a model home. Think about new construction, walking into a model home. It flows good, the pictures are nice. And so I just walk through with my crew and I tell them this needs to go to the garage. Sometimes I don't know quite what needs to be removed until we start removing things and be like, okay, we can leave the second couch instead of, so it's just a way to lay it out and organize the furniture and the things they already have.
The minimalist.
The minimalist, yeah. Show off the floors. If there's tile floors, like you said, roll off
and
the
make
rugs.
the house flow well when they're walking through the house.
Take everything off countertops. The kitchen doesn't need to have all these little doodads and, just make it look as clean and modern and to date what your clients in your market are looking for. That's what you want to make the house look like.
That's great. The other thing I think we can add is our windows come with screens. And if you walk through a model home, you'll see that our model homes don't put the screens on, so that when you're looking through the through the windows, the view is crystal clear. The screens don't give that crystal clear view. The other thing that model homes do, which we don't do, is take out all the doors to the house and stack them in the garage. The model homes do that so that the flow is happening when people are walking through. But we keep the doors, we definitely take the screens off. And sometimes it's a good idea to even power wash the house to give it a fresh look on the outside, fresh mulching. Those are all part of staging, Candy.
And the screen thing on top of that, think about HDTV. Somebody walks in a house, ooh, lots of natural light, right?
Yeah.
When you have the screens on the door, it makes it look dimmer in there. So when you take them off, it just brightens up. Yeah. Like you said, the
even
view is
sometimes
amazing.
An old window can look new.
Yes.
So those are free cost ideas that you could give to the seller to prep the house for the sale, and they don't have to. If their windows look old, they don't have to change the windows to make it look new. They can just power wash from the outside and take the screens off so that the view is crystal clear for the outside. And hey, if you have a spectacular backyard and a backyard that's overlooking a rolling hill, those are the things that you want to absolutely show off for the house, that when you're living in this house, imagine the rolling hills that you will encounter through fall when the trees are having different colors. Winter, you're looking at the snow, and in spring, you're looking at the flowers bloom in the trees. So every season, you are telling your client that this is the spectacular view that you will have for your buyer, the next buyer, to show off. And as far as virtual staging, what we do is when a house is empty, most of the time what happens is when we list houses for sellers who are moving for their job, their company moves them before we list the house in the market. And so basically we get the house all empty. But some people, it is very difficult for them, if you don't have it furnished, it is very difficult for a buyer to foresee that will their furniture fit into each room. So we place furniture on the floor plan. We call it Matterport, and we post it on the MLS where we advertise the house. They will come still and walk into an empty house, but based on the MLS pictures, they will see that every room has furniture placed virtually, so that they can get a good idea. The other option we have is we have teamed up with high-end furniture stores in our area, and we make it a win-win situation for them and us. We tell them that, why don't you showcase your furniture in this beautiful house, make sure that every furniture has their price tag on it, and invariably what we have done is we've sold the house where the buyer has said we want the furniture also. So we've created a win-win situation for the furniture company and for us, for them to showcase the furniture in the house. So this is another option that you can do for especially the houses which are luxury, bigger homes, and the furniture company comes in with their high-end furniture and showcase what they have to offer. Every furniture piece, whether it's a coffee table or a side table, they have their business cards also from the shop, their brochures and business cards. So we are giving them enough advertisement in our listing to showcase their products.
That's a beautiful partnership. When she told me about that, tell them more about the car as well.
Yeah, so we even go to the dealerships for cars, and on luxury high car places, like whether it's a Bentley car dealership or a Lamborghini or a Ferrari car dealership, we can go there and tell them, showcase your car on our open houses. On the day we have open houses that people come in, or broker opens, when the agents come in to see the houses, they can not only see the Ferrari or a Bentley parked outside the house, they can even get in there, maybe take it for a ride, or when I'm doing a video, I could drive up to the house in a Bentley, basically.
And how many more agents are you going to get through the building? Because you have shock and awe. Somebody mentioned that to me at lunch. But they're going to come because they want to see the Lamborghini, and oh, now I thought of a buyer. Boom.
Yeah.
So you've really very creative, and I think it's wonderful. A lot of people could apply that. I was going to mention too about staging in general, what a benefit it is, the cleanliness of it, how it shows. Like, it's your first impression. Your first impression, if you do the pre-inspection, I think we both talked about, I have my inspector come in, look through the house for common problems like leaky drains, missing things that would cost only a couple of dollars to fix, right? So we have them come through and do that. So when it comes on their inspection report, the buyer has walked in the house, it's clean, it smells good, it's bright. And then they do the inspection, and there's hardly anything on there because we've already taken up the major, minor repair things that need to happen. So it's left to just bigger things where the buyer is going to feel much more secure in the home than getting a 35-page report of $5 things that could have been fixed easily.
Right. Because, the buyer is coming in, and if you're walking through the house and they had a leak at one point from the bathroom upstairs into the dining room ceiling, and they fixed the leak, but the stain is still there, that buyer is coming in with the worst idea about the house, thinking, oh my God, there's a stain there, and God knows, maybe even the roof is leaking.
Yes.
So they're getting the worst case scenario thought in their head and coming out to the house with that thing in mind. And so it very smart. I do the same thing, Candy, that we get sometimes, if it's an older house, it's always smart to get the house checked by an inspector before we even get the stagers out there, so that we have the inspection report on what needs to be fixed and the staging report combined together. and then your contractors could come and do the work for both and get the house ready for the market.
Yeah, it's facing a problem before you have one.
Exactly.
So
and you know, the
setting
problem is probably this big, but they're going to make it look this big in front of the buyer, you know? So we want to avoid that at any case.
I have a prime example. So in our houses these days, at least in America where I live, we don't usually stop those sinks, right?
Yeah.
An inspector will stop the sink, fill it up with water, and then let it drain. So a lot of times we just need a slight tightening of the pipe, but on the inspection report, then it says leak. And so you can see the panic of a buyer for just Teflon tape and a twist.
Yeah.
So if you're just doing a little pre-inspection just to get in front of the problem, it makes a world of difference in the transaction itself.
Absolutely. And Candy, would you agree, like on higher end houses, I have run into this problem with some agents who actually did not know how to open the door of the handle, because sometimes the doors you have to get the handle up to lock the door. So some agents don't know that, and they say, oh, the door is broken. He's telling the client that the door is broken. It's not actually broken. You don't know how to fix it. You don't know how to operate it well. So sometimes it's a good thing that if you're there in person and show the house so that they know how to operate certain things, and especially when it's a smart home. Don't you agree?
Oh, yes. I'll be talking about that tomorrow. So that's the thing. You almost need a class to give over to the buyer to figure out how to use all these bells and whistles. So having that, an idea of that would be make a little video of all this fun little things and add that to your marketing.
Absolutely.
So it's not lost. It's easy to find for every buyer. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's talk about preparing the buyer before the stager comes in. How do you prepare your seller? Yes.
Well, definitely we're a team. We're working on our investment. I've painted the picture, which, as you know, virtual staging is for the people who can't see what it would look like or what it would fit like. So when you're painting the picture to your clients, you're just telling them I just overeducate. Like I just tell them everything we're going to do. We're going to bring in some color because that's going to bring attention into this room and this place and this sunlight. So just telling them how the process is going to go, how many hours it typically takes, like over-explain so they're not feeling uncomfortable or anxious about it. We want to make this transaction like smooth as possible. So education, and you don't have to be here. It's probably better if you're
out.
Just take a little, go to dinner or something,
Yeah. Absolutely. And one thing you mentioned early on that, the first impression, and that is very critical, that the first impression is the buyer's last impression about the property. You only have one chance to make them see the best impression about the property. You don't get a second chance, because that first impression, even when you are approaching the house, before you get in the front door, if your house is not, if the landscaping is not manicured well, if it's not having the mulch, the grass is not cut, they are getting a very bad impression of this seller, thinking that this seller does not take care of the house. Yes. And I'm going in thinking, oh my God, all these things we have to take care before we even buy this house.
I give a little scenario to my sellers. I say, wouldn't you rather have the buyers walk into the house in awe? They're imagining where their kids are going to sleep. They're imagining, cooking dinner in the kitchen or having meals outside or whatever. Or do you want the one that has seen something wrong on the way in the door and is now picky, looking for problems because they saw one? That's the value of staging right there, is that you're letting them come experience a home that they could see themselves living in with their family instead of looking at a leak. And
like the dining table should be laid out for a dinner.
Yeah.
If there are 10 chairs, you should lay the table out for 10 people to sit at dinner, ready to be
take every opportunity to make the house inviting.
Yeah.
To the people who are going to be walking through.
Sometimes we use natural fragrances to get into a house that smells good. And particularly from our part of the world, I tell my clients who are from South Asia, like, make sure the house does not smell like curry. It's smelling nice. and not like curry. So those are the little things that really put buyers off when they enter the house. So
it's those small nuances that people don't think about. Somebody walks in the house and it smells like spaghetti or anything. It could turn somebody off. But cookies or vanilla.
Or something, just a pie that just came out of the oven, or cookies that came out of the oven. You're smelling a nice baking smell.
Well, take a look at the candle aisle and the vanilla.
Candles.
Cupcakes.
Yeah, all those strategically placed throughout the house to make it look impeccable.
And lighting, I don't think we've spoken much about lighting,
Yes.
but it's very important. Not only just the screens off, but I have 2 rows of lamps. And, you know, as a realtor, I get a lot of items because my clients leave them behind. And so I'm like, oh, that's a nice lamp. I'll put it in my staging garage. And so lighting up a room to where somebody walks in and it feels, oh, bright. It doesn't feel dim or sad. It feels happy and light. And just, I want to be here. So I think light is one of those things that people forget about.
Some of the houses that are built about 20 years or older, most of the lighting in those houses are dimmer, and they have the brass light fixtures, which I feel that Candy, lighting and paint can do wonders to a house. If you didn't do any updates but just did those
fixtures, like if you have 32-year-old ceiling fans, go spend $150. You know,
the ceiling lights in our part of the world, in Amazon, they're like $25 a piece of ceiling light. So just getting your own contractor or handyman there and buying that ceiling light on behalf of your client and putting it out there and paint the house, those 2 things can do wonders. And another cheapest option is every recess light, take out the lights and change it into LED recess lighting. The whole look of the house changes. It's brighter.
You update a house, gold door handles. That just says it's old. Switch it out. It's like $25 to $100 depending on the thing, and you're updating the house, making it look 10 years younger.
Under $500-600, you have now updated the whole look of the house by doing all those small changes. And the house looks, it does not look dated anymore.
Another bang for your buck is trim and doors.
Yes.
If you don't have money to paint an entire house, if you just paint the trim and the doors, it cleans it up and makes it look fresher, so you're not having that dust.
The baseboard does not have the dust anymore.
It just looks bright and fresh, and sometimes it even makes the walls look nicer when you have that white pop.
When you have the client walking up and down the stairs, the baseboards, you can see it very clearly. Even the vents in the house, you need the vents to be clean so that there are no dusts on the vents, because those are the little things that make a buyer think that, oh my God, they haven't cleaned their vents in years. Their air condition is probably not being maintained, and that's why they have so much dust on the vents and their dust settling on the baseboards. So those are the little things that you need the seller to take care of before our photographers go in and take pictures.
And for us, it's just something that we would say, okay, we'll do this, and we'll take either a little bit more percentage, or we'll just do it so that we can sell the house faster, depending on if it's a big job or not. So all of these little things, telling them how they could do it. They could paint the trim. It's super easy. So I think just showing people how to make their house updated and not having a scary price tag on it
and
is the best.
That's how you control their emotions as well.
Absolutely. So my staging started because I have the moving truck company and I help my people move. But then that turned into taking not staging items out, but like the furniture that didn't belong or was going to donations, so taking that out. And I just saw such a value to my clients. They were so happy to be able to have somebody come in and make it look nice, where if I just told them to do so, it's a challenge. But for me, we do it every day. So it helps them be more comfortable, and that builds a relationship.
And throughout the process, it is our job to keep them emotionally calm and less stressed. So one thing, what I do is I tell the seller that, look, my stager is going to come. I'm probably telling you 1/5 of what my stager is going to tell you. So do expect a nice list, when it comes, and she's going to divide it from room to room. Like the living room, this is your list to take care of. The dining room, this is your list. Bedroom 1, bedroom 2, this is all the list. So everything together is probably 30, 40 items. But I don't want you to look at it as a whole. I want you to tackle it one room at a time. So today I'm going to just do the dining room. Tomorrow I'm just going to tackle the living room. So that way you're not overwhelmed. And as far as the repairs are concerned, we could then, from the whole list, we could divide it into a list for the handyman or the contractor and a list for them. Then already their list is shortened from the staging report. And the contractor, you have yours, I have mine. We just make it easy for our clients that we just send them the contractor and just say that, okay, this is a list for us. Okay, we'll take care of it. And if you need furniture's moved, we'll do that as well.
And it saves them the stress of trying to find a contractor they can trust when you say, hey, this is the person I used over the last 500 transactions or whatever. Boom. They're not feeling stressed out there. They're going to get taken advantage of, because that does happen.
At every step of the process, throughout the listing process, it is our job to keep them calm and to make them understand that, look, don't stress out and not speak to me about it. I don't want you to have sleepless nights on something very little that maybe it's a big thing for you, but it's something very little for me. So I want you to be completely honest and upfront on how you feel about the process. And if there's something that's giving you sleepless nights, please talk to me about it.
Absolutely. Open lines of communication. And when you start off with your clients as a partnership, you do a staging consultation, you're working everything together, you build that relationship, what makes it easy for them to say, hey, I'm worried about this, and us to be like, oh, I'm glad you said something, because it's not a big deal. We'll handle it. But it's the relationship built when you're really transforming a home into a staged home, a marketable product. You're building a relationship that when that person now hears somebody else talk about real estate, they'll be like, Candy just came in and helped us. She made it so easy. It was actually fun. I put a joke in there. I always say, now after I get done staging, you have to sign this document that you have to still sell the house. And everybody has a good laugh because, but you're building that relationship with staging.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that's it. Do any of you have any questions? Yes, sir.
So I was wondering how you handle people who have customized their home. Maybe they removed a wall, added a room in an odd place, something like that, and now it's hard to change, and that's what it is.
You have to get creative. Depends on what they have customized it into. I will say that once I had a client who made one room into like a prayer room of their religious trend. It was a temple in one part of the house. So what I did was I told them that let's make it a rec room. We're going to clear out the room, clear out all the stuff from the temple, and make it more like a rec room, and put something like a pool table or a table tennis table to make them vision it as a rec room rather than a temple in the house. So you have to get creative with that.
Yeah, and if it's something that's huge, right, and it's going to cost a lot of money to fix, I identify it. I say it out loud to the people going to look at the house. We got a quote to get this fixed. So if it's of an issue to you, there's this quote of this problem we're all identifying.
You can get a credit at settlement to do it to your liking.
Yeah, just be creative, like you said.
You have to be creative. And sometimes it might be a very good customization that could become a very big thing to market the property. So it might be a good thing rather than a bad.
Well, I'll add one more thing. It's because they are comparing that house to other houses like that. But the plan, although it was same before, it's now different. But the owner thinks that there's more value to what they did. But then they are not willing to accept the fact that it is same as the other house.
Just offer a credit in that case.
I go over the appraised value that we base it off of square footage and bedrooms and this and that, and also that you have a certain price that you have to stay within in the community, because this house is not going to be worth more than that house. Just explain to him similar houses, similar floor plans. Just because you decided to put in a $20,000 marble fountain in the middle of the living room doesn't necessarily make it worth more money. It might even make it worth less. So you just kind of just try to explain the appraisal process and how that we're going to take the 3 closest properties and make it the most there is, and that's there's no outside of that. We're not going 50,000 above market value because you did this, tile floor in the middle of your living room or something,
Hello. So I have 2 questions. My first one is, what do you think of, with regard to staging, how can new technologies be incorporated in staging real estate property? I could give examples about the technologies that my question is very specific about. For example, augmented reality. When you're showing a space, specifically empty rooms, is that something that...
Yeah, like I talked about the virtual staging. You could do that. You could definitely use the Matterport as one of the options and show them the walk-through floor plan with a virtually staged property in the video.
And even not just virtually staged, Matterport does 360 photographs, and it's a camera that you just take every 5 feet, and a client can actually walk through it. Another advantage of that is that it takes above like a dollhouse picture of the home and shows the consumer so they can see the floor plan and the flow and the layout. I think that that's an advantage when you have it staged, because it's like a little dollhouse, a model, and if the furniture looks great, then you can post that out, and Matterport makes little short videos that you can walk through, so you can actually utilize that in your marketing.
Walkthrough through the
Exactly.
house. Somebody living in New York, but the property is in Washington. They're not coming to Washington to see the house. The interactive videos would help them, absolutely.
The reason I'm asking this, because like you were saying, the physical aspect of staging a real estate property during the visit, having to see it physically, smelling the good smells, interacting with the actual property and being physically there, I believe is a very important aspect of staging. That's why, with regards to virtual staging, I'm very curious about, like you said, virtual reality is one way when someone doesn't have the time or means to get to that location to actually be physically present. But when they are physically present, if with regards to the case that the person that I'm showing the property is actually there, augmented reality is a space. I don't know if it could be used with regard to staging. So that's my first question.
Just because I have not heard that term before, is that something that's like holographic, or explain?
So augmented reality is basically when there's an empty space and you want to map or project physical components within that space.
And that's exactly what virtual staging is.
Okay.
Yes.
I think I'm going to talk to you after this. So you're saying that there's a room and something in the room can project, like there's a couch in there while you're physically walking through.
Virtual staging is exactly that you put the couch and the table into the picture so that when they're seeing
about in live person.
Yeah.
You're saying there's something like it projects like a couch.
It projects, exactly.
It's
That's
crazy.
what it is. Virtual staging does that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my second question is, when do we consider, is there such a thing as taking staging too far? Like you don't want to oversell, and you like you both were talking about, you want to be always at all times be completely honest with regard to the property that you're showing or showcasing.
Yes.
So where's the line drawn? When is staging? When do we consider staging that being taken too far?
The client's comfort level.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you saying
at any point, if the client is I'm telling the client that, look, we need to paint the house, we need to change the kitchen cabinets, we need to do all that. And if he says, I'll paint the house, but I'm not going to do the kitchen cabinets, I'm not going to force him.
Right.
It's the client's comfort level.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
We later on, what we do is through feedback, if out of 10 showings, 6 or 7 of them are saying that the cabinets are dated, then I can show the client that, look, this is what they're saying, and this is the reason I was telling you that we need to update the cabinets. And then maybe we could take the property out of the market temporarily, do the cabinets, because we have to go according to the feedback that we are getting from the showings, and do the cabinets, and then put it back in the market for better outcome.
And I also think that we wouldn't take her luxury furniture stores and have them decorate my 900 square foot home in Green Valley with that, because that could be over, where you're taking something far too nice for the price point of the home and the median income of that area. You could overstage by putting too nice of things in it, or understage if you were using, so say, I went to the Goodwill and staged your luxury home. It doesn't necessarily work, but the Goodwill is amazing for staging, just so you know.
Yeah, it has to match the price point of the property. Right. Okay, thank you.